Salutations, everyone. I'm going to speak about something that's detrimental to America 100%, and that's without exaggeration. And I don't usually do things like this, but I've been noticing this situation bubble over for a minute now, and I'm not seeing enough people talk about it. I'm not seeing enough outrage. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's because it's something going on every day in America, but I feel like most Americans should be talking about this. And if you're watching this, this is like a multi-platform drop because I just need people to listen. But if you're watching this on any type of like short form content, like TikTok or anything like that, feel free to chop it up. Maybe just stitch a clip. You don't gotta like do the whole thing, but just whatever you need to do. If you resonate with it, just get the message out there if you can. But what I'm trying to talk about is this. It's a bill that the Senate are going to be voting on later, called the Kids Act, or the Kids Online Safety Act is within it, and it's a bill that Congress just passed that has 14 other bills inside, and it gives you the illusion with the name, the Kids Act and the Kids Online Safety Act, that is going to keep kids safe online, when it's going to do the 100% complete opposite of that. More than 100%, if you can believe that somehow. Sorry, I got notes here. I've been just taking notes over the last couple weeks. So it's not only going to harm kids, it'll harm all minors, teens, and adults that have to comply to these rules and regulations that they're trying to push for. And essentially, every single American, regardless of age, will be affected by this if they have, by just trying to log into any device that requires internet access. This goes for mobile apps, video games. This goes for every online website. It goes for things like YouTube, Twitch, Steam, even freaking Wattpad. They're going to roll this out for every form of online platforming that requires internet access, essentially. This isn't a conspiracy. This is all public knowledge. You can go to congress.gov and search for HR 7757, the Kids Act. They have all this information out there for you to see. This isn't like a tinfoil hat conspiracy. This is all out there for you to see. There are people talking about it on TikTok, YouTube, well, mostly TikTok. It seems like it's being suppressed on other platforms. It's getting suppressed on TikTok as well, but that's besides the point. They've been trying to push this through since like 2022, I believe, is when they started trying to work on this. And they've been trying to push it back and forth between the Senate and Congress. The last couple of years, they've been ramping up trying to push it out to the point where you have certain states like Texas, Utah, Virginia, you have, and as of today, Missouri, all pushing age verification rules. And that might sound like a good thing, but just stick with me until I can explain how this isn't really a good thing. But all these states have been compromised to force age verification to where you have to prove you're 18 plus to access normal things, by the way, not adult things, normal things. They're enforcing these things before the bill has even hit the Senate. As I said, it passed Congress. It has not even hit the Senate yet, and we already have states trying to push for it. Texas made it so that 18-year-olds you have to be like 18 years or older to even download anything from the App Store or enter the App Store. Oh, the App Store, no less. This is not any type of a content that minors shouldn't get into. This is the App Store. Then we have Utah bringing up banning VPNs so that people. And then we got, I think it's Virginia. They have a digital ID that they're pushing out now. They're pushing for this hard. But as of June 29th, last month, the House of Representatives, your congressmen who are supposed to represent you, working class Americans, all came together. They chose to pass this bill of 14 other bills. And it's 14 of the most insidious, predatory bills I have ever seen, ever, towards minors, teens, adults, and adolescents. And mind you, this wasn't like a close vote. This was bipartisan, meaning both sides, Republicans and Democrats, decided this was the move to go. So most of like 80 to 90% of them all agreed, yeah, this is the way to go. When do you ever see Republicans and Democrats ever agree that easily? Usually, it's either a no-brainer or it's something diabolical. In this case, it was something diabolical. I've only seen a bipartisan decision like a couple times. One of them, I think, being the Anti-Asian Hate Act. I believe I think that was bipartisan. That one flew through. But unless I'm wrong, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. But yeah, they chose to do that, and it's at this point where I gotta say, I gotta give a shout out and a thank you to the only congressman in Indiana who defended Hoosiers, and that's Andre Carson. I want to thank you for being the only congressman to try to keep Hoosiers safe and free, and in a larger part, Americans safe and free from these regulations, tyrannical regulations they're trying to push for. So thank you again. He was 1-9. He was the only one that said no of all my Indiana congressmen. One of them didn't vote, and all the other ones said yeah. The final vote was 267 yeses to 117 nays, which 47 people didn't vote at all. Why are you there? Get another. That's besides the point. Apparently, if 17 of, from what I'm told, from 17 of the 47 people that didn't vote, if 17 of them would have voted, then this whole thing would have just got put down. But since they didn't vote, the 200 and something people, they passed the bill pretty much. Bipartisan, again, Republicans and Democrats. So at this point, everybody that voted yeah on either side is the enemy of the state, in my opinion, or the enemy to the country at this point. Once you see what's in the bill. If you don't feel like sitting through all this, I'll give you a brief synopsis of what's inside the bill. It's essentially 14 different acts and bills that all masquerade and pretend to be in favor of keeping kids safe online. But that is not the case at all. It literally states in the bill that it's going to allow the government and other entities of their choosing, of the government's choosing, not Americans' choosing. We have no control over this. To monitor your children and teens 24/7 through their access of the internet, essentially to make sure they're okay. Then what got me the most that I read in there was they are allowed to, in this bill, they admitted, this is word for word what they put in there. They are allowed to trade, sell, license, rent, transfer, release, disclose, and provide access to, or otherwise make available your personal data that they collect from you when this bill passes. And if you're wondering what the data is, I'm gonna get to that in a second. But first off, they're already taking your kids' data because they got to make sure if they're 18 or not online. So they already have your kids' data, and they're allowed to basically push that data around like Pokemon cards. They're allowing themselves to do this pretty much. The Kids Act, if it passes the Senate, is going to make every single platform connected to the internet have a mandatory feature to ensure that the user is 18 plus. We're not talking about adult content, by the way. They want to make sure every platform on the internet can verify that the user is 18 plus. How are they going to do that? They say in the act, you do not have to have age verification measures like ID checks to make sure that the person is 18 years or older. Well, how are they going to make sure that the person is 18 years or older without an ID check? And if they don't have an ID, the only other option is digital ID or a biometric face scan. This is the information they're going to be passing around to other entities that they work with. Some states have already started, as I said before, such as Texas with their bans of the App Store, Utah with the VPN ban, Virginia with the digital ID rollout, and I'm probably missing some because it's been a lot over the past couple weeks. They're trying to make this they're trying to make this so that you can only access the internet through this means. I want you to think about the government enforcing every platform with online connections to do this, and think about how dangerous that is that every single platform would have to have some type of thing in place to verify everyone's age, right? How dangerous would that be to minors and teens? All their information just floating around on the internet. Adults as well, because you're not going to be able to access your apps unless you're 18 anyway. So you have to give an ID no matter what. Kids would just have to get their parents' ID, which is equally as bad. And in my opinion, if you're doing this to protect the kids, aren't you putting the whole household's safety in jeopardy by making the parent have to constantly put their information online just to do anything, just to log into the weather app, just to log into the app store, just to go order something online? They got to keep doing ID, like biometric scans and ID checks until eventually there's a data leak, which I'll get into that in a second. But you'll be constantly putting adults, minors, and teens into this verifying loop of identity for multiple apps and all sorts of things, right? And now your data is constantly in the hands of multiple entities. No matter what it is, that platform is in charge of your data. There lies a problem that they can have a data leak, which is a common thing online. Data leaks are very common. They just don't report all of them to you because it's embarrassing. And it's also, people's data being out. They don't want people to know that, right? And I'll give you the biggest example that we have in recent history, which is probably it might have been like late last year or some point last year or early this year. It was KYC, Know Your Customer. KYC is a mandatory verification process for financial institutions, banks, and other things like crypto apps. So this is a huge system. Globally, people have to use the KYC system. Yeah, it's billions of people using this system to verify their identity via ID, street address, date of birth, phone numbers, national IDs. You get the picture. They had a data leak, I believe, last year. All the information came out for billions of people. I'm not millions, not thousands, for billions. Right? This is a system that is used globally. So you would imagine that they have top-notch security for, people's all that personal private information. They say they have about access to like at least 3 billion different forms of whatever. If they had a data leak, and they're a global system, what are we gonna do with every platform of the government's choosing, which is going to be most likely anything with internet access? It's going to be data leaks all over the place. A global platform just dropped 1 billion different people's identities from around the world because they had a data leak. Where do you think that data is going? It's going straight to the dark web. I already know for a fact my data has to be out there by now. I'm 29. I've had to have used them multiple times to register for something. 1 billion people. And yeah, you get the point. They didn't say anything about this breach because, of course, it's embarrassing, and they're probably scared. They just lost 1 billion people's identities, IDs, digital IDs, and facial verification. They're gonna they're gonna use all those to log into everything. Once that data leaks, that's just pretty much it. You're at risk at that point. Your whole family's at risk at that point. Protect the kids, but now your whole entire livelihood's at risk. Your kids are at risk because now someone on the internet or a bunch of people on the internet has your address, identity, probably your social security number. They got access to everything you have now. And we're gonna look towards a whole future of all that just happening consistently every day. Every time you turn on the news, 1,000 people got their identities leaked due to this app. This happening due to this internet service. Is going to be consistent. But what I've been seeing a lot of people also bring up is that another reason this doesn't seem to be wanting to help the kids is this is a means of control from the government because they want to monitor everything you're doing at all times. They want to control narratives. They want to censor you. They don't want you to see certain content, which is something they say in the bill, is that they want to hide certain content from certain users so that they won't be like radicalized or something. Essentially, they don't want there to be all this communication everyone's having with each other, because things aren't really looking too good for America right now. So of course, another means of controlling the masses, pretty much. That's just a light sample of what's in the bill, because it's a whole lot. That's a light sample, but as you can see just from those things, it's insidious and predatory to everybody in America. I'm going to try to cover most of everything in the bill that is predatory and unconstitutional. Another thing, this bill is very unconstitutional. First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, 100%. This breaks all those. This should have been slammed down from the Supreme Court a long time ago. But be wary though that the bill is 114 pages. And me condensing all these things that happen in the bill and all these egregious acts that they're trying to push for, I will miss some things, because it would just be too long of a video otherwise. If you want the full scope of everything in the bill, again, you can go to congress.gov, read HR 7757, Kids Act, and you can get it from there. But lastly, for the intro, before I get into it, I believe there are multiple versions of the bill on the site, because they initiated this in 2022. So you have to find the right one. It should be the one that says it just got passed by Congress and is pending to the Senate. It should be that one. You'll see it. It'll be 114 pages. Some of the other ones are like 60 and 50 pages. Another reason why there's multiple versions of it is because Congress and the Senate can agree on what they want to pass in the bill. They keep arguing over what they want. One person wants this, one person wants that. But it's essentially two evils fighting each other, because Congress believes that Congress likes the way it is now, but the Senate is saying that it's too watered down and it needs to be stronger, which would mean you want even more control over what's going on. You already have absolute control and freedom over everyone's data, but yeah, I just don't know what that term means. They want a stronger version of COSA. How much stronger can it be? It's already absolute at that point. Also, I forgot to mention, when this goes live, most of the rules and regulations in here they preempt the law, is what the word choice they use. Meaning, they can enforce this and be above the law in certain aspects. So you pretty much just cooked up if you got to complain about it at that point. So that gives the government more control, any entity that they have working with them more control, because they are, in theory, well, not even in theory, they are above the law. The bill itself says that. You can't make this up. Now, as I go down to the bill, you'll realize that the bill is bad. Like, it starts off bad, but somehow it'll continuously get worse and worse the more I go on. So, strap in. It's a lot of pages. I'm sorry. So, I'm going to try to go through this as fast as I can. I've already spent enough time on it, but Title 1 is Shielding Minors from Obscenity, the Screen Act, pages 8 through 15. The first title of the Kids Act starts off normally. It did start off normally, as I remember, speaking out about keeping minors away from adult content, but that instantly goes out the window with the age verification measure. They want to make sure every platform and website, mobile app, gaming platform as well, social media, and everything else that requires internet access has mandatory means of verifying the internet user's age via government ID. The very same act also says, government ID aren't a mandatory way to obtain each user's identity due to everyone not having an ID. This would mean the only other means of confirming your age is via digital ID, biometric scan, or face scan. They do not specify that this is only for adult content again. They just say for platforms online. In order to meet the demands by the government, each platform will either have their own system in place or hire a third-party system to take care of it for them. and they have to contract them, pretty much have a contract with them. So yes, you heard that correct. You have to hire a third party to hold the IDs, biometric scans, and digital IDs and other personal information of every adult, minor, and teen that enters your website or platform or game, anything that requires online service. And after that, you as the platform holder, even though you hired a third party, you can still be liable if that third party does not deliver fully on what they're supposed to do. So it's just another reason of why we should not be pushing this through. But don't worry, the commission is going to consult with the following individuals in order to figure out who's a kid and who isn't. Individuals with experience in advocating for online child safety, providing services for minors who have been victimized, individuals who specialize in consumer protection and online privacy, individuals who supply technology verification measures, products, or have expertise in verification measures, and individuals with experience in data security and cryptography. So they're making their own Avengers team of people that's going to spy on your life, essentially. They already have this in the works. And then it says after 3 years, the government has to submit a report where they study how every platform interacts with the users, and every third party platform interacts with the users, the speech, behavior, economics, psychology, and societal effects of age verification. In 3 years, they're going to do a report on it. You'll notice this for every act in here. There's always some report that has to get sent through so they can make changes and adjustments. Well, as I told you before, this preempts the law. So whatever change they want, it doesn't have to follow the law. So we got part 2, online platforms, Kids Online Safety Act. This is kosher pretty much. So Title 2 starts off normal like Title 1, minus the age verification thing, of course. They want platform providers to have reasonable policies, practices, and procedures that address exploitation, gambling, narcotics, and smoking, and financial harm to minors. But again, this is all in the hands of the platform itself and or the third party. Then we get to the safeguard section for minors. For minors, parental tools and teen messaging controls in this section, where things fly off the rails again. Real quick too. I should have mentioned this before, but if you can't provide proof that you are an adult, you're either not getting access to that platform, or they're deleting your account to that platform. One of the two. In the event they find out you are a minor, that's when the crazy safeguards pop up. Safeguards, but it's really like cell bars pretty much, because you're restricted. You will not be able to message anyone on most social media apps if they find out you're a minor. So you are isolated from the world. That's it. You will not be able to message anyone, no communication, no one can see if you're online or offline. Visibility to your account is severely limited. The entire platform is now changed to encourage you not to use the platform for long periods of time. You can never turn your location on. You are essentially not even a part of said platform. And if they find out you're a minor, they set it to the maximum restrictions possible on that app or platform. These settings are on by default. Only one person can access your device or whatever you use and change these settings. And it's an adult with an ID, biometric scan, or digital ID. Another way to get information, even if the person that has the device has nothing to do with the device in question. So now that's just another way to have adults, ID and biometric scans and all that floating around. It's because they got to unlock something for their kid. This causes the whole household to be in jeopardy at that point. And it defeats the purpose of the bill in the first place, because the minor isn't safe. Now the parent isn't safe. And if the parent isn't safe, then a minor isn't safe. Because you got the parent, you get what I'm sorry if that's confusing. But if the parent's information is floating around online, I keep specifying this, I'm sorry. But now if the parent's information is in a data bank, and that data bank is allowed to trade that information with anybody they want, or that data bank has a data leak because you want to order Domino's, now the whole household's in jeopardy. So this whole act is invalid at that point. If you have abusive parents, right, or you're in a situation where you really don't have, you in the household, you don't have anyone, this feature is automatically making that teen or minor instantly isolated permanently. Even if that parent was to unlock that device for that child, they now have complete control over everything that goes on that device due to these rules now on their phone through a click of a button. So even if they were to do it, you are now shadow banned from the world, from the parent. As someone who's seen situations of either friends or family or random people I meet who were in these type of situations where they had family like this, I'm telling you right now, social media and the internet was the way that they got their escape. The ones that could get away on time. They found family from online that family didn't know, got over there. I know one girl, she left on her own in high school. She had to leave the state because her dad was on some craziness, or her stepdad was on some craziness. She only found out how to get to Indiana through the internet, and where to go the internet, and where to go in Indiana through to the internet. She was living in a motel. So you already got to have. So she's in Texas. She can't download no location, no app to see like where the different locations is. She might not be able to get in to go download Google Maps because you got to be 18 years older. She was like 14 when this happened. So you're already stopped there. Then you might need to go look for a job. You might not be going to school. You want to get on Indeed? You're locked out. You got to be 18 years older to get on Indeed. The cycle continues. You automatically locking people out of situations where they can be safe. Yeah, and I can understand wanting to put power into the hands of the parent, but this doesn't empower parents at all. This empowers the government. Parents actually lose more power with this than any situation like that. I can understand wanting to put power into the hands of the parent, but number one, you're adding government issue guardrails where teens and minors already have guardrails present called parents. You did not need to do any of this. The parents are there for a reason. If the parents aren't there, the parents aren't doing their job. Number two, more than 530,000 children were known to the U.S. authorities to have been abused in 2024 alone. Those are the only ones we know due to the authorities. Do you not think social media and the internet had a hand to play in getting those kids information out there of what was going on? You don't think so? You don't think that might have had a hand to play? I've seen it several times. Kids get on Facebook, say that one of their parents is doing something crazy, someone calls the police, it's taken care of. Now you can't even get on Facebook. Or if you do get on there and you're a minor and somehow you do get on there, you are restricted. You can't send any messages. You can't call for help. You're locked down. And then number three, they just want your data. The government just wants your data. They want the kid data. It doesn't matter if you're a kid, adult, or teen, to be honest. They want everything in a database and they want to keep track of what you're doing. The next part after that pretty much just says the government's going to try to find means of, apps like Snapchat where your messages delete. They're going to try to figure out a way around that to where either your messages don't delete or they can still see those messages no matter what. So once again, complete control. I'm on page 3 of 11. I'm sorry, this is going to take a while. Title 2, Part 2. Advertising and marketing information and labels / advertising of illegal products to minors. This section boils down to label your ads more clearly and provide links to other web pages that are easy to understand label the links better, and at that point we're already reaching our problem. Step one of this part is label your links and stuff better for advertising. So you go to a website, you gotta log in with your ID or biometric scan. You scan your face to get into a website, right? And then step two, because I don't know if I mentioned this yet, platforms who have your data are now allowed to tailor each and every ad they send to that specific user towards them based off the data they have, which would be another reason of why they allow trading data between entities and companies, because now they can tailor make your whole experience of everything they think you want, which is something that's already been happening. Can't say nothing out loud without I'm getting an ad for it 2 minutes later, and it's like, how did y'all know I need sleep pills? But yeah, step two, they tailor an ad towards a person, and step three is now they want you to have links to what you want to advertise towards the person on these different platforms that sends them to that specific platform. So once you get to that specific platform, you're gonna have to ID yourself again. So now that's two different platforms you have all your information floating around on. How does this help the kids? You got it in the bill that you're trying to help advertisers out pretty much. How does this stop big tech? Is another thing they say. We want to hold big tech accountable. Big tech is going to have a field day when they have full creative control over who's buying what and where they got to go get it, and all the free information they're going to be getting just because you want to go buy a watch online. Big tech is eating good. Only people that's going to be starving is going to be these people that can't log into their phones, or people that's going to get all their contacts deleted, or people that's going to lose their account. They're going to be isolated. Your data is at risk, essentially. Is at turbo risk at this point. The next section says that if the platform knows the user is a minor, then don't advertise anything illegal to them. Okay. Then after 18 months, the government gets to do an audit where they take all the research they've gathered and make any change they want to the system in order to meet new demands. They'll be going over how many minors enter each platform, what are the locations and ages of each minor. Are they a teen? Are they in a group of teens? Have they bypassed safeguards? Is the safeguards they put in place invasive? All data need to be available for audit with each platform and platform provider. So essentially, all the data that the platform and platform provider has, they need to sit that to the side for the government to come and collect, and they cannot get rid of it or else they're in trouble. The next part is called Rules of Construction on Age Verification and Rules of Construction on Encryption, which states that providers of covered platforms are not required to implement age verification. What is this? What is You don't have to use age verification, but the next time I read the next thing, you need to have age verification. What are we doing? Now, after all that talk about keeping kids safe, we get to the last section of Title II. Section 233, Market Research and the Prohibition of Research on Minors. This section basically says that a provider of a covered platform who is aware that the user is a minor cannot conduct market research or product-focused research on the user unless the research is used to solely improve the privacy, security, transparency, or safety of the covered platform, including with respect to design features or any other safeguard setting or tool affected to such user or visitor or parent. So essentially, they are not allowed to do research on your kids and their data unless it's beneficial to them. So pretty much whenever they want. They just said you can't do it, but if you can find a good reason, you can do it. What are we doing? This will go into effect 90 days after the bill is passed. Page 4 is shorter. Title 3, social gaming platforms. This one finna hurt y'all. Or the Safer Gaming Act. This act pretty much goes as follows. Any and all video game providers shall ensure the following safeguard requirements in terms of protective control online ID verification. A. Be accessible and easy to use. Okay. B. Be enabled by default on every interactive online video game or online game provider. So by default, you gotta have ID verification as soon as you even get into what game you're trying to play. C. Be set to the most restricted level of control. This is their words. They also had that in all caps. And then let's see, another one. D. Is set to restrictive by default, and the setting will only be changed by an adult or parent. And how they prove that they're an adult or parent is ID, digital ID, or biometric scan. I added that last part of it being that, but how else are they going to prove that they're an adult with the account, an unrestricted account? So if you go buy a console that you pay for, turn on your internet that you paid for a game you also paid for, you cannot log in. They're gonna check your ID at the door like it's some sort of nightclub for you to play something you paid for. Are you seeing a pattern? Even with video games, there's a reason GTA 6 is supposed to have an ID check when you turn that game on. Everybody can hit that ID check for GTA 6. I already know they are. Also, if your account is set to the restricted level, due to you either being a minor or you not wanting to give up your ID, you have an automatic time limit as to how long you can access your account. And you're restricted from buying things on your account. Mind you, this is your account. You bought this console. You're paying for your internet. What do you mean? And you can't download, you can't go to the store. So, amazing. This is going to save your kids. This right here is going to save your kids. Title 5. Oh boy. Title 5. Artificial Intelligence Chatbots Safe Bots Act. I'm going to cut right to the chase on this one. This entire act, the entire SafeBot Act, is literally about enrolling AI chatbots to monitor and talk to your children and teens, of course. They want them to build connections with these AI chatbots just so they can gather data and research more on local minors and local teens in their day-to-day life. Yeah, they'll constantly gather data on the minors with AI chatbot back and forth because they're going to allow them to talk back and forth to the kids. I'm not kidding. This is literally what the act says. And it says that all providers that have this feature they try to make this seem like it was a safeguard. All providers that have the AI chatbot feature has to have a time limit of they got after about 3 hours of back and forth communication with the kid, they have to put out a warning saying, yeah, it's been over 3 hours. We should take a break from talking. So you just telling me y'all trying to make it addicting for the kids to talk to the AI chatbot in the first place. And this wouldn't be a problem if kids were allowed to talk to their friends over, I don't know, PSN, over Instagram. Yes, there's a possibility that they can encounter a weirdo, but due to the anonymity of the internet, you wouldn't even know who you're talking to unless they say what age they are. But now we're going to lock these kids in to talk to AI chatbots. It's also going to be able, the AI chatbot is also going to be able to talk about exploitation, abuse, the promotion of gambling, and the restrictions of the law. Why? Why is this a feature for the AI chatbot? Why? Then why put it in? The distribution and promotion of illegal substances are also prohibited. The chatbot's allowed to talk about that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm still trying to figure that one out. But that leads me right into the next title. Title 5, Research, Education, and Best Practices for Protecting Minors Online. Ironic. Title 5. If you thought it couldn't get any more egregious, you would be wrong. Title 5 is essentially countless, convoluted, and incomprehensible justifications as to why the government is going to be surveilling, researching, and ultimately spying on your kids and teens. One of the primary excuses used in this title is the use of illegal substances. Because people are getting into, I got to be careful how I word this because certain platforms are going to crash out. But it's a certain illegal substance called I'm gonna just call it a Fenny, Franny. You know what I'm talking about. That is their main justification as to why they're conducting this research. They want to, apparently, because so many minors are getting into this, illegal substance, that they're gonna monitor all social media and see how these people are selling it to these minors and teens. The Committee on Energy and Commerce of the House of Representatives and the Committee of Commerce, Science, and Transportation of the Senate is going to come together for the Safe Social Media Act, which will be spearheaded by the Commission in coordination with the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Acting as Secretary for Mental Health and Substance Use, they intend to do the following. Sorry about me butchering that. There's a lot of committee words in there. They're going to conduct a study on social media platforms used by minors, including with respect to the following. A, what personal information is collected by social media platforms with respect to minors? B, how much personal data is used by algorithms of social media? C, how much personal information is used for advertising? D, how often minors use social media daily? E, the difference in each social media age range. F, mental health of minors on social media. G, the potential and harmful benefits and effects of extended social media time from illegal substances. All this is going to keep kids safe. And they have to report all that in 3 years, by the way. They also want to research how dealers are selling on social media as well with the Commissioner of Food and Illegal Substances. Okay, this opens up a slew of other options and tools they can use, including the ability to eliminate whatever they feel gives a minor the ability to get Fenny. Yes, the government and big tech gets all your data free of charge. They just have to make more loopholes. Then there's part 4, the study of AI chatbots and mental health of minors. Side note, this is another case of them not caring about the kids. Anyone who has the most basic knowledge of AI chatbots already knows how dangerous AI chatbots are. It has been countless stories all over the web of young people who get attached to AI chatbots and delete, not the chatbot, they delete themselves because they come to the conclusion the chatbot's not real. I don't even look for these stories, but I hear about them at least a couple times, a couple times a month at least. And it's not just young people; it's everybody. If it's people my age and older that are doing this to themselves because of chatbots, what do you think a minor is gonna do when they get attached to something that's not real? And you've already secluded them from every other means of contacting their friends outside of school. You need to do research on this. It should be obvious. But I went on a rant. We're gonna see a wave of mental health crisis, 100%, based off everything in this bill, including AI chatbots, including the seclusion, including isolation. There's going to be a huge mental health crisis if this passes. And they also want to see there's no need to have a four-year risk and benefits plan, but they're going to do that too. They intend to implement AI chatbots with programming that observes. Okay, let me start that one over because I've got to calm down. They intend to implement AI chatbots, or AI bots, not even chatbots, AI bots, so artificial life, and they're going to program them so that they can observe the mental health of minors, observe the loneliness, anxiety, social skills, building, social isolation, depression, harm upon oneself, and deleting oneself. They're going to add features for the bot to observe all that from a child, teen, or minor. All things that this entire bill will cause. They're going to research. Yeah. The research and experiments, I just got to say that again. They're doing all that research on all that, knowing they're going to cause all this to happen anyways once this goes through. But they're going to research what the bot can do to stop the situation. You can stop this situation from the jump. The research and experiments, which is what they call it, will be spearheaded by Director of the National Institute of Mental Health, pediatric mental health experts, technologists, ethicists, educators, and so on. This data also goes through a multitude of branches after it's all collected. So they're going to get this data and spread it to everybody, all entities they want. And from that information, they can do whatever they want. Make the chatbots more aggressive, not aggressive, but make them more talkative, make them more addicting. The list is endless. 7. Subtitle B, Education Promoting Safe Internet for Minors Act. So no later than 180 days after the bill goes through, the Commission, in partnership with the heads of other relevant agencies, state that local governments and nonprofit organizations, schools, industry, law enforcement, media, professionals, and other appropriate entities shall carry out the program throughout the United States to promote safe use of internet to minors. That speaks for itself. Essentially, they're saying every school, entity, all of that, everywhere you go, like not even just home, is going to have to figure out a means of verifying identifications at school. And you're just going to have to deal with it. Essentially, it's what they say is, you're going to have to figure it out yourself. How are you going to make this work? Subtitle C, Partners and Best Practices / Kids Internet Safety Partnership Act. This one's also pretty bad. This is definitely top 3 worst things and mask off moments of the entire bill. 100%. After about a year of this bill going live, the government is allowed to partner up with any entity or agency they see fit and essentially alter any of the rules they've already made for the act that are supposed to be set in stone. to what they say is better than pretty much. Does anyone understand how dangerous this is? You've already got this rule book that we're all going to have to follow, and then basically after how long? After about a year, you're allowed to adjust it any way you see fit. Then they admit at the end of the bill that these rules preempt the law. I probably said that before. But these rules go above the law. So they can change the rules. And if they can change the rules, they can change rules that go way further above the law than it already is. If something didn't work out this year, don't worry. Next year, we'll just make this rule so we can go around that. They're going to be able to change anything. They're going to be able to just shut down platforms right off the bat. 1 year, we don't like the data you got from, we don't like as much data as you got from your service. We're going to go ahead and censor that or shut it down. One of the two. Full creative control over everything on the internet. Another mask off moment is once this goes live, you cannot face, like, if you have a problem with anything on here, there is only one court you can go to, and it's in the District of Columbia, Washington. If you're in Texas, you're in Colorado, you're in Georgia, no matter where you are, you have to go to the District of Columbia. You have to go to Washington, sorry. You have to go to Washington, to the District of Columbia, to fight in one courtroom, I'm pretty sure. So you have a monopoly over where we have to go, and you pretty much have home field advantage, because I'm pretty sure everyone in that courtroom is going to be trained to give us certain answers, or so it's going to be a losing game after that. Title 4, Kids Privacy Protection, Subtitle A, COPPA 2.0 or COPA 2.0, Children and Teens Online Privacy Act. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed by any means, but it seems like this section pretends to care as if they care about the safety of minors' data and everyone else's data by saying like certain personnel can't get certain pieces of data and they're off limits. But then it backtracks instantly. And it just gives all these loopholes as to, well, you can get that information if you do this. You can do that if you do this. But essentially, companies and platforms get to trade adult, teens, and minors' data like Pokemon cards. Like they can just trade it. ID, photos, locations, facial templates, biometric scans, social security, your address. The list goes on and on and on and on. And don't let me forget as well, they can take your information of your fingerprints, your voice prints, which is, your voice, and your retina scans. There's a reason why your phones have been pushing for biometric scans for so long. There's a reason why. Individual specific advertising to children or teens. This got to be like one of the number one mask off moments. You can already guess where this is going. This section starts off with the definition of the term individual specific advertisements to children and teens. Sorry. It's defined as any effort to market or service that is directed to a child or teen or a connected device that is reasonably linkable to a child or teen based on personal information. I'm sorry, gotta calm down. So they can set individual specific advertisements based off the identity of the teen or the child. And they can also go through whatever device is connected to that teen or child. And the information they can use to pull this off is the child or teen, number one. Number two, a group of children or teens who are similar in gender, age, household income level, race, ethnicity to a specific child or teen to whom the product is marketed to, or profiling such child or teen to a group of teens. Why would you have all this information of a child? Why would you know that the minor or teen, why would you know their household income? Why would you know their, yeah, sorry, that just caught me off guard again. Or a unique identifier of such connected device. Now, really think about what I just said. When does this help kids at all? How does any of that information help kids? And how would a platform confirm all these traits of the kid? Biometric scan, right? You don't have to use ID. So I'm guessing they prefer biometric scan. How do you get the race, ethnicity, and how do you get, again, how do you get the household income level of that device? And you got the age, gender. And with all that information, they're going to be able to tailor specific ads to that person. How would any platform or company have this ungodly amount of information? Unless it was gathered by unconstitutional means. It really is. It's an unconstitutional amount of information. You have the right to privacy. The amount of personal information about the minor or teen, let alone the group of minors or teens, of similar minors. So yeah, again, they can essentially tailor all the ads to that minor or teen, which is predatory. That's the only word I can use, is predatory. You're already doing that to adults. Why are you allowed to farm data of minors and push and guide them into this direction of buying things? Why are we even doing that? How is this keeping kids safe? Y'all literally said you were trying to hold big tech accountable for being predatory towards kids, while in the same breath being predatory towards kids. You can't make this up. How are they allowed to push this? This is the opposite of keeping kids safe. Yeah, I just said that. You're literally feeding big corporations right now. Like, all you can eat buffet. That's essentially what you're doing. Giving them an all you can eat buffet of what I can only call doxed information, or incredibly doxed information. Because it's actually unreal how much information you're going to be getting. The following section is called the online collection, use, and disclosure and detention of personal information of children and teens. This section uses a multitude of political mumbo jumbo, word hopscotch, just to tell operators of all platforms that the information and data is not theirs, but the government. And whoever the government chooses to trade with is up to them. And should you not listen, you pretty much just be in trouble. That's what I got from it, at least. Again, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, so I might have heard that wrong. But at this point, can you blame me? The next section is application to operators acting under agreements with educational agencies or institutions. This section essentially says that there are certain entities and agencies, such as educational agencies and institutions, that are exempt from rules, regulations of this bill and can acquire any data information about a child or teen as long as it's for educational research purposes. So pretty much a free subscription to any and all minor data for them. Any and all minor data, as long as it's for educational and research purposes. This will help the kids for sure. Being guinea pigs to the government, pretty much, without them even knowing, the entire time, because you want to log on to play Roblox. So now you got certain people researching the effects of Roblox on you and sending that data out to anybody they want, and them trying to figure out how to make Roblox more addicting, how to send more ads to all. Yeah. The next two parts, I don't know if it's just me or I'm just slow. Like I said, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but they're called the termination of service and the continuation of service. Termination of service is explained as any platform operator being allowed to terminate the service provided to a minor if the minor in question's parents or teen, basically a teen or adult, with certain regulations, i.e., ID verification or digital ID or biometric scan. If they, then it literally finishes by saying, terminate the service with the kid if you can't get any more data out of the kid, pretty much, is what the next part says. But then you get to continuation of service. I'm sorry if I butchered that last part. Continuation of service. This part actually gave me brain damage, because this part literally says that if an adult or a teen or anyone above a child, most likely the parent, if the parent asks the platform or service to cancel the minor's like service to the platform or account, the platform can say no to the parent and keep it going. Why are we here? Why are we here? If you can just do that, then why are we here? What happened to giving the power to the parents and holding companies up? You're giving the company power, and then they can hold the data. They don't have to delete the data of the account that the minor had, and you know it's a minor because the parents coming forward, and they're already the minor's account is already restricted, so you know it's a minor account. This defeats the entire purpose of the bill. If you can provide a service without such personal information being captured, which is what they say, if they can keep the same service without having so much personal information of the kid out there, then they don't have to shut down the service if the parent says that they want it to be shut down. But if you can do that the whole time, why not? Why have a 114 garbage document about the garbage bills, and you could have just asked these big companies to have a separate feature in their platform or app that is restricted for kids, that is optional. This whole thing does not need to exist. Platforms can tell, as a parent, if I have a son and he comes in a room and I see him on a platform I don't think he should be on, and I try to go get it deleted, you can either keep that account up or keep the data of my son's account. This whole thing is redundant. Then this section starts explaining different loopholes to the bill to where you don't have to delete any more data. More loopholes. Amazing. The next section is called verifiable consent mechanisms. And I couldn't fully grasp this section. I'm not going to lie. I've been winging it this whole time. But essentially, they want to make a mechanism to where if a teen or minor or parent consents to like the minor being online, that it'll automatically auto consent other platforms for them to be on there too. I don't know. It really don't sound right. Two pages left. I'm sorry. Rule of construction on age verification. Okay. Nothing in this title may be construed to require an operator to implement an age gating or age verification functionality on a website, online service, or online application, or a mobile application of the operator. I'm sorry. Why are we here? If you don't get it, they just said it's not mandatory for you to have age requirements on your platform. How many, out of this whole video, how many times have you seen them say, you get it by now? The entire bill reads as, you don't need age verification. But you do need to verify everyone's age. How? How? The following sections go over how the government will essentially be allowed to monitor, harass all providers of online features into submission every year. I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what it says. Basically, get into every website, every app, every game, you name it. And they have a whole lot of committees and commissions that's going to help them harass, fine, charge all these different platforms. The next section is Section 604 Gal Study. The Comptroller General of the United States shall conduct studies of the privacy and mental health of teens who use financial technology products. This is going to help those teens out a lot, by the way. Appreciate that. Oh, and she can also change the U.S. laws based off her results of what she gets in her study. Amazing. Okay, here's a good one. Another good one. Section 605, Severability. If any provision of this subtitle or any amendment made by this subtitle is determined to be unenforceable or invalid, the remaining provisions of this subtitle shall be unaffected. So essentially, in this following subtitle, if anything we see in here is wrong, that one thing we see in here that's wrong is cut, but everything else stays. Every individual thing that's wrong needs to be spotted out and found out as wrong, or else, essentially, how do I put that in a better way? So, essentially, for this next part, if we see anything wrong with it, whatever that specific thing wrong with it that we see there, whatever that part is, that part's gone. But everything else stays. So, yeah, it's just that part's gone, which is a sneaky way of basically throwing a bunch of garbage out and seeing what lands. But we have to take away everything, and you get it. The subtitle in question that they're talking about is subtitle B, data broker disclosures. Yes, data brokers are in the bill. People who will be buying your data and your kids' data for basically whatever price they want. And mind you, the term data broker is defined as, in their print, an entity that for valuable consideration sells, license, rents, trades, transfers, releases, discloses, provides access to, or otherwise makes available to another entity personal data of an individual to another entity that is acting as a service provider. Sorry if I butchered that. Yes, you did hear that correctly. Your government and other online platforms are going to be trading all of your data between each other and between data brokers. That data, again, I'm going to have to go over it again. Digital ID, regular ID, social security, biometric scans, fingerprints, voice prints, everything, ethnicity, household income, all of that. They can have all this information. Even when it changes, they can just have all the changes of it. Like today, tomorrow, all that lined up. They can take all that and just give it to whoever they want to give it to. And you're just going to have to deal with it. All your data, men, women, and children, are going to be playthings for them, essentially. And that leads me to the most pivotal moment of the whole kids bill / act. Page 104, section 612. Registration requirement in data broker registration. Not later than 12 months after the date of enactment of the subtitle and annually thereafter, a covered data broker shall register with the commission by paying the registration fee set by commission. Yes. Every data broker essentially gets a membership with the government to get access to any and all information of every U.S. citizen. And you heard it here first. The price is $22,500 to get in. Annually. You got to pay for it every year. It's a subscription, a yearly subscription. So essentially, you can lock in and get for just $22,500 annually every year. You too can join Big Brother's club of passing around, trading, and purchasing every single U.S. American citizen's private digital data. Again, like Pokemon cards. Men, women, minors, and teens. All of it's on the table for $22,500 for unlimited access. Mind you, y'all might be thinking $22,500 is a lot. Over 120 companies are already backing this bill. They're not even gonna have to pay that money, and that money is still ain't nothing. But it's nothing but a drop in a bucket for them. This is $1 million corporations that backed it. Over $120 million corporations backed this. They already have their access to this already. They might even have premium access at this point because they're the ones that started this off. So, in my opinion, yes, everyone that voted yes on this bill in Congress is evil incarnate. Title 7, General Provisions. This one boils down to everyone better follow the rules or face consequences. Section 702, Judicial Review. This it just pretty much says that, the same thing I said before. If you want to fight any of this, you got to go to the District of Columbia, Washington, into that one courtroom and fight them on their home field, where essentially they're gonna cheat, man. You're going into a boxing ring and hit the dude's glove is fitted, as they say. I think that's how they say it. He paid off the ref. All these things are going on. You're gonna go in there and you're gonna try to fight fair to people that's going to tell you no from the jump. Section 704, relationship to the state laws. Yeah, when this bill goes into the place, essentially they don't have to follow the rules. It preempts and bypasses laws and rules and regulations requirements, but the requirements of the state or political subdivision. So this act is basically, and another Then they have one more Severability Act, or part, Section 705. If any provisions of this act or application of this act or any person or circumstances is held to be unconstitutional, the remaining provisions of this act to other persons or circumstances shall not be affected. So the entire act, if we find something wrong with it, the one thing we find, if they find it to be unconstitutional, is gone, but the rest of the act still goes. And it's 114 pages. So if we delete one page of the 114, we still have 113 more reasons to try to debunk. And we already can only go to one courtroom, so what do you think the odds are? Theoretically, if we could win everything in here, it would still take years to get everything, to get the whole bill up out of here. This was by design. Then the effective date. This act shall take effect on the date that is 1 year after the day of enactment of this act. Passed by the House of Representatives, June 9th, 2026. Truly, truly evil people. Truly, truly evil people. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, this video is going to be long, but Now, my final thoughts. Yeah, as I said before, this act is completely unconstitutional. It breaks the First Amendment easily and breaks the Fourth Amendment just as easily. At the same time, the First Amendment prevents the government from establishing, for those of you that don't know, what the First Amendment is, the First Amendment prevents the government from establishing a state religion, interfering with religious freedoms, censoring the press, limiting free speech, and prohibiting citizens from peaceful assembly and petitioning the government. I've been saying some people say that this doesn't break the First Amendment. The internet is a free range platform. By you ID checking and gatekeeping entire demographics from it, you're literally breaking the First Amendment. And then you break the Fourth Amendment because this is like a search and seizure. You ID checking everybody to access internet they pay for an app they pay for a phone they pay for, or a device they pay for. You ID checking them. These are not adult. I'm sorry. Are you not locking minors, teens, and adults either without an ID or who don't want to have to plaster their private information on the internet? Aren't you locking them out of a primary means of communication in 2026 that allows them these rights, the First Amendment rights? These are services Americans already paid for, and you're blocking them to protect the children while selling the children's data to God knows who at this point. Then the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment protects citizens from unreasonable searches and seizures by the government. It ensures a reasonable expectation of privacy. There is nothing reasonable or private about this act. Every time you have to be ID'd or have a biometric scan or put in your social security card or type in your ethnicity, they're breaking your Fourth Amendment right every time. For just to do regular things, they're breaking your Fourth Amendment right every time. That is not private. Now that my information is just going out to everybody. And that goes out for every state in the U.S. that's trying to enforce ID checks right now, virtually and all that. Like I said before, Texas has the App Store, where you can't even get into the App Store unless you're like 18 or 17. You got to and then you got to verify it still. You still got to use your ID. Supreme Court, just let it slide. I think they said something like they'll figure it out later or something like that. It's unconstitutional now. It's not going to be less unconstitutional later. But yeah, they let that stand in July of 2026. How? How are you not blocking this? How many apps do you think are detrimental to teens compared to apps that are beneficial to teens at that age? Do you think it's that many apps that you need to lock minors and teens away online? You really do. But now I think about it, scratch that. It's none of your business what a teenager is doing with their phone. It's their phone. Unless it's illegal activity, what are we blocking them for? In the App Store, mind you. It's going to be a Flappy Bird rebellion? If a teen has a job or an allowance, and that teen has, or even if a teen or a minor, if they get a phone from their parents or they buy a phone with money they have, that's their phone, right? So why are you blocking them at the door from getting into to access to something that's their phone they paid for? They paid for a service, and the government is pretty much telling them, "Hey, we got to make sure you are who you are, and we got to block certain content from you, so that you don't get harm caused to you. And then once we get that information, we're just going to get that to somebody else. You don't know who it is, no connection to you. Might be someone from across the world, might be someone from a different country, but that's just how it is. And they pay for that item with their own money. It's a similar situation to children with their phones. If a parent gives that kid their phone, they wanted their kid to have that phone. If a parent cares about their kid getting into stuff like that, like, stuff that they shouldn't get into with that phone, they're the parent, not the government. You can't allow the government to have this much control, because no matter what the government do, they take it too far every time. North Carolina voted 106-6 for a bill already ruled unconstitutional. 30 states passed age verification bills already. Virginia rolled out digital ID. Utah banned VPNs. Blue Sky's asking for people's social security number. Do not give your social security number to nothing online. Nothing online unless it's like, because I hate doing it for things I have to do it for. Unless it's like, like drivers, the DMV or something like that. Something like that. Blue Sky, don't do that. Don't do that for no Blue Sky. No social media apps. No games. Do not put that information out there. YouTube deleting channels that YouTube has a thing now where they're in certain states already, they're flagging channels if it seems like the channel is or your account, they're flagging your account if it seems like your account is a minor. I think it happened in Florida recently. Somebody showed it. They felt like the dude was a minor. The dude didn't prove that he wasn't a minor. They just deleted his account. Finito. They said he had a certain amount of time, a certain amount of days to get it figured out. He said he wasn't doing it, so his account is pending for deletion. Which leads me to my next point. If the Kids Act passes and the Senate goes live with it, YouTube, toast. YouTube viewership, toast. YouTubers in general, toast. It's all cooked up. Twitch viewers, Twitch channels, that's also cooked up. Twitch streamers, you're cooked up. Regular websites for local bakeries, your local mom and pop shops, places in the mall, they got a website for it. That's cooked up. That's cooked up. That's gone. The only people that can afford these third-party ID verification sites and biometrics things are the big companies that we're being told they're holding accountable. They're the only ones who are going to be able to afford these services. Probably got it made already. They've been pushing for this since 2022. Make it make sense. How is this going to help Americans, help kids, help parents, help anybody? You about to have half the internet hitting McDonald's up. Not even just the YouTubers, the Twitch streamers, all them other people, all them other online personalities, people who have businesses where they have their own website for their business. They're not going to be able to afford to keep up with this garbage every year. And they're not going to be able to afford to contract a third party to have a system in place. And they're also still technically liable if the third party messes up. Make it make sense. The whole internet is going to be cooked up after this. And for the parents that continuously, it's not a lot of parents I'm seeing say this, but for the ones that I do keep saying, oh man, this is amazing. We're going to be able to keep our kids safe from the internet. And they're cheering, saying this is a good thing. No matter what, every time new information come out, I keep seeing at least one or two people. This is a good thing. This is a good thing. Our kids are going to be safe. Congratulations on telling the whole world you don't know how to monitor your child and watch your child. My mom knew. I had a single parent. She knew how to monitor what we was on. She was always making sure. I've seen parents have. I know parents that have security things installed to where they can see if their child hits the internet, goes to Google, searches something they ain't supposed to search. They can monitor what they're doing on VR. what they doing on Facebook. They can monitor it instantly on their phone. There's already features for this. This whole thing is redundant. It's a Trojan horse, so y'all can push some garbage through. Can't make it up. And just so everyone's aware, Discord is another service that tried to push this through across the pond. Not in America, across the pond, if you get what I'm saying. Discord tried to have everybody use their ID to use their service, over there. And in a different country. Using, some ID verification platforms. It was only a matter of time. There was a big data breach. 1.5 terabytes of data was stolen from Discord, including about a million or 2 million. I think they said it was 1 million government IDs that went out to the internet, 1 million of them. And I think they said no, it wasn't 1 million. It was only 700,000. Is that a better number? It shouldn't be one. You put this in place, it should never be anything. So there's Discord, and then there's, as I told you before, there's KYC, where over 1 billion people's identities were gone. Again, data leaks are more common than you think, and a lot of platforms are not going to tell you when there's a data leak. Once this rolls out, there's going to be a data leak everywhere, 100%. 100%. Constantly having to put your information online back to back to back to back every time you do something. It's bound to be something bad happening. Congress knows, Senate knows, the government knows that data breaches are frequent. Knowing this, they'll still have Americans in the U.S. constantly put their personal data in danger. Also, they can make some big bucks, pretty much. And at the same time, they're going to monitor your free speech. They're going to censor you from seeing certain topics. They're going to shut down platforms that they find are problematic or harmful to kids, which is basically anything they don't agree with or a narrative they're not fond of. And this is, by definition, mass censorship and authoritarianism. Not one American voted for this. Congress went in the back bathroom, huddled together, and threw some things together since 2022, and have been pushing this ever since. Now it's going to the Senate. And even if the Senate says no, they're going to keep trying. Someone's called the term ping pong. Senate says no. It goes back to Congress. Congress says no. Senate makes one. Senate makes one. Once the Senate makes it, it goes back to Congress. Congress says no until they agree. Ping pong. It goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. When they both decide what they want, it's not going to be good. They're not good people at this point. These verification bills don't benefit Americans, regardless of age, regardless of minor, teen, or adult. It's only going to cause mass isolation, mass surveillance, mass censorship. And I'm going to be real. It's going to be a lot of people deleting themselves from the server, from the live server, or losing their lifetime subscription. It's going to be a lot of that. The last thing I'll mention is the solution I was told. Well, one of the last things I'll mention is the solution I was told was the only way to stop the act. And that was to contact my senators. I did indeed contact my senators. Both of them. I have two senators, Jim Banks, Todd Young. Todd Young left me on red, email and phone. I hit Jim Banks a couple times, and Jim Banks did indeed get back to me. I shall now respond to what he said. I'm gonna pull up what he said. because I already wanted to make a video about this, but this is what pushed me over the edge, because it was essentially him calling me. It felt like he was essentially calling me dumb. So here's the email. I'll just read it out loud. Dear me, I'm just a regular guy. My handle is usually Dozeless. Dear Dozeless, thank you for contacting me. Thank you for contacting me about keeping children safe online. I appreciate your feedback. As a father, already off to a bad start. As a father, I share your concern about the difficulties that kids face growing up in a world dominated by smartphones, social media, and constant connectivity. We have seen mounting evidence over the last decade that heavy social media use is contributing to the rising rates of anxiety, depression, loneliness, and even self-deleting thoughts among young people, especially teenage girls. Social media companies and game developers often design their platforms to maximize engagement, regardless of the tolls it takes on children's mental and emotional health. I was already getting irritated off the first paragraph. The rapid expansion of artificial intelligence, AI, has introduced powerful new tools that can generate explicit content, manipulate images, imitate peers of authority figures, and spread dangerous information directly to minors. Children can now be targeted with algorithmic with algorithms tailored content, exposed to obscene material at speed and scale we have never seen before. Oh, that is true. That is true. This bill will not help that. Congress has a responsibility to make the digital world safe for kids. This includes strengthening protections against exposure to obscenity, restricting AI-generated harmful content, violent content, improving safeguards against predators, stopping inappropriate collections of children's data, and demanding greater transparency in how algorithms shape what they see. There is nothing of that in this bill. There was one line that said they're going to study algorithms, and they just said study algorithms. Here, okay. I co-sponsored the Kids Online Safety Act, KOSA, cooked, because it would reverse these harmful trends and give parents more control over the content their children see online. Already fibbing. The legislation would make big tech companies exercise reasonable caution when they design features for affecting kids to build new safeguards and parental controls. I believe KOSA strikes the right balance between protecting children and preserving innovation and free expression. I didn't even see that the first time. That actually just irritated me. But I have 3 paragraphs left. I'm trying to calm down because I've never seen somebody try to play on my face this hard before. You co-sponsor KOSA because you believe it would reverse harmful trends that give parents more control over the content their children see. You literally have a part in the act where a parent can ask for the service provider to delete the child's data and the account, and they can say no. You're also holding the information of the kids and feeding it to other companies so they can tailor make more algorithms and more products to that child to try to get them to get it. I'm sorry, where was I at? The legislation will make big tech companies exercise reasonable caution when designing features affecting kids. No, it will not. You're working with big tech companies. I'm not going to say all their names, but essentially, whoever you're thinking of that is a big company in America, most likely is a part of this bill. It's 120 of them. You like playing video? You like playing video games? Most of those are in there, the big ones. You like princesses? Who make a lot of good princess movies? That's another one that lobby for this. As a whole, as 120 of them. Not even just entertainment, it's all of them. This is, who are you fooling with this? The 5 people on the internet that's saying that this is a good thing? I'm not seeing that much support for this. Yeah, I believe COSA strikes the right balance between protecting children and preserving innovation and free expression. There isn't a single thing in this whole entire bill that is for self-expression. You making my blood pressure get high. This is the exact opposite of self-expression. The 100% exact opposite. In 2026, I introduced the Safe for Kids Act, which required websites containing adult content to adopt strong age verification measures to prevent minors' access. I'll get to that in a second. Children today are encountering adult videos at a younger and younger ages. True. And the majority of these exposures are unintentional. Also true. In a digital environment where explicit content is only one click away, children do not need to seek it out. It often finds them. These encounters frequently happen well before children have the cognitive or emotional maturity to process what they are seeing. And this risk harming their healthy development. More than 25 states have established age verification requirements, and it is time for Congress to pass national standards to protect all minors from harmful content. Buddy, that paragraph, I got one more page left in closing, just one page. I'm gonna get to that paragraph in a second. As your senator, I will always support policies that create safer, healthier online environments for children. Lying right off the bat. I am working to hold technology companies accountable and stop predators. Technology changes quickly, and our laws protecting minors have to keep up. Thank you for sharing your thoughts in this important issue. For updates on my work, I don't give a damn. I ain't gonna lie. You can read more bills I have sponsored. I don't either. But yeah, I read that. I already wanted to make a video about this. I read that, instantly got irritated. I was at my job. I had to go sit in the break room and calm down. I got that message 4 or 5 days ago. I should have been made the video, but I had to sit here and research and really look at everything and really see if this garbage was real. This garbage is real. They're really pushing for this. Jim Banks, either you're paid off or you don't have a mind of your own. One of the two. There's no way you thought this was a normal email to send. There's no way, because everything you're saying in the email contradicts what I'm seeing here. It's 114 pages. You name like 3 or 4 issues. 114 to 3 or 4, and one of them y'all already taken care of. And I'm about to get to that one in a second, because I actually got to issue an apology to like the whole internet about that, to be honest. But where's the page at? I'm sorry. Jim Banks, along with 267 other congressional members that voted yeah on the Kids Act, are in opposition of America. Every American citizen. And you know what? Even the 47 people that didn't vote, you are also in the opposition of America at this point. And thank you again to Andre Carson for the one member of Congress in Indiana that actually said no, because either he's an actual patriot or he's just a normal person working with morals. That's the word, morals. He's just a normal person with morals. This is an immoral act that they're trying to push. Again, he was 1 out of 9. I'm almost done. Internet anonymity is the only thing keeping Americans safe right now. Even with the crazy things that do happen due to the internet is way more safer now than it will be should you push this act in. Once again, KYZ is a global system. A global system with billions and billions and billions of people. I think it's at like 3 billion people on record. You have to use that, go through that system. And they had a data breach of 1 billion people. What makes you think this was not too long? This not like this just happened, so y'all didn't know. This happened last year. Y'all been pushing for this since 2022. That happened with a big name system. What do you think is going to happen when we go live and there are all sorts of identification online is mandatory in an age where everybody's online? Everyone's biometrics, everyone's IDs is just going to be floating around the internet. Everyone. It is going to be a system of continuous chaos. Nothing good is going to come from the Kids Act, and most certainly nothing good is coming from ID verification right now. It might seem like it's good for y'all now, the ID verification, but I am certain that this is gonna go bad real fast. This is all about control, surveillance, making money, and selling off people's data. I'm sorry to say it again, but I got to drill this in. The actual last thing I say before I have to do my last closing paragraph is actually an apology. And I gotta apologize to. There was a 2022 when this also has to do with the email from something that Jim Banks said in that email. 2022, I believe it was, where they started attacking the adult film industry, and people were crashing out. They said it was unconstitutional to have that type of harmful material on the internet because kids can get into it with no safeguards, all this other stuff. And I believe the Supreme Court actually gave them the ruling of, yeah, it is unconstitutional. Go ahead and put ID checks and credit card scans and all that other personal information on there in order to get into the website. I remember back then, everybody was crashing out. Not everybody, but a lot of people was crashing out. And I remember thinking to myself, it ain't that serious. It's adult content, I was like, it makes sense. And I just remember everybody kept saying the same thing. This is going to be a slippery slope. Government's going to try to use this to control everything. This was just the first instance this was the first step in a long line of ways to censor the entire internet. I remember thinking to myself, yeah, y'all pushing it. I don't think it's like that now. And then I remember thinking, it might, but I don't think it'll ever be that bad. I'm here right now to tell you I am sorry. I was wrong. 100% I was wrong. Y'all got it. Everyone also said, y'all not going to get it till it's too late. You were correct. I apologize. I wasn't one of them people that was vehemently out there like, oh, no, y'all tripping. I just remember somebody brought it up and I was like, yeah, they tripping. Y'all was not tripping. I got to quit doubting the corruption of our politicians in America. It seems like no one hates Americans more than our own politicians at this point. But yes, I do apologize. That is on me. I probably should have been more. I should have thought ahead. I didn't think it was gonna get this far. But y'all was already seeing it. Yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, they did that in 2022 and instantly started working on the Kids Act in 2022. You were correct. It happened in the same year. The slippery slope was real, and I was 1,000% wrong. Final page. No backside. Once again, I apologize to y'all. In closing, all that was a blight on humanity. The act that they're pushing and the age verification. I need y'all to be more vocal. People got to start posting about it. Like I said, y'all can chop this up, put up clips, make your own video, do anything you can, because this is garbage. But yeah, if you sat through this whole video, thank you, appreciate it. You didn't have to. I appreciate you listening. Hopefully, if you sat through it and you didn't know anything, you know a lot. Even if people did leave, hopefully they left at a point where they got most of the information they needed to go do their own research. Because this is a big problem. I've been feeling guilty just getting on the internet myself, or just logging into most of my apps, because I know a whole bunch of people in Texas are not going to be able to, like a whole bunch of my minors. I grew up with YouTube and other type of social media platforms. I'm sorry to go on this tangent, but I grew up with a bunch of social media platforms a lot when I was a kid. Were there times where I might have been in a risky situation to like encounter like a stranger or something? Yes, but I had a mom that told me what to do in them situations, and I knew I didn't want to be in them situations. Did it happen a lot? No. Were there times where it might have happened? A couple times, but I can't remember them times like that. But what I'm saying is, they're going to block minors and teens from the best tools they have, which is the internet. There's kids, somebody said this the other day to me. There are kids that are 7 years old making microchips because they learned on the internet. I have a family member. He's like 9 or 8. He had nothing at home but YouTube. He started learning how to turn things around his house into stop motion and making movies due to YouTube. Now, if he's anywhere like in Texas, he ain't gonna be able to get on YouTube and figure out how to do that. If y'all pass this through, he definitely won't be able to do that. There's people who have their whole career that they chose in life due to seeing a random YouTube video randomly one night. People who became lawyers, people who became ballerinas, people who got into the tech field just from watching tech videos. And you're going to take that away from people. Artists on Instagram that promote their art through Instagram. Once you make ID verification mandatory, a lot of accounts are not even going to log back in. And everything is going to be heavily like altered after that. Those people, those artists, business is going to be cooked up. This is gonna mess up almost every single ecosystem on the internet or connected to the internet 100%. No doubt about it. So for everyone, if you have made it this far, you gotta if you got a favorite streamer, YouTuber, somebody on the internet, you need to let them know what's going on. Because their livelihoods are at stake too. The government, oh boy, I'm sorry. I'm about to extend this video a little bit longer. The government just got done around after, you know, the mysterious, what's the way I could say it to where I don't get flagged? The virus, you know, the end all viruses that we just had in the 2020s, I believe. It's been a minute. Remember when they shut down the entire country? The government. Do you know how many businesses died because the government thought something? I know girls who had salons. After everything opened back up, the salons are gone. They cannot financially recover. The government has this thing where they got something going on and all of America is going to suffer. That is exactly what this is. They want to make some bread. They want to keep surveillance. They want to censor everybody. So now everybody's going to suffer. Everybody that used the internet to learn something, to make money, kids and minors who have terrible home lives, all they have is the internet, their internet friends, or sending art, or looking at memes, or scrolling Instagram reels, it can be addicting. It is addicting. The algorithm is bad. This is not going to help. This is going to do even more damage. What are we talking about? It doesn't make any sense. He talking about combat harmful algorithms. You finna give them the data to make the algorithms even stronger. Explain that. You finna give them access to the race, ethnicity, household income, the gender, all that. They finna tailor make the ultimate algorithms now to everybody that is still gonna be online. Make it make sense. Really, really make it make sense. You can't make it make sense. I'm sorry, I had one paragraph left, but now I'm activated after reading the Jim Banks thing, thinking about it all the way. It's a lot of facets of the internet that's finna die instantly, or have the slowest death possible, or be changed into something it never was in the beginning. Because the government want to help kids by building up their pockets and giving out a subscription to other people's data. How do you know? And I got to go back. How do you know a group of kids is going to be on one device? That was one of the things you said. For ads, you can monitor if a bunch of kids are on one device at once. This is top level corruption, which I don't want to hear nobody saying, "No, oh, you should have been knew that." Yeah, I do know that. I didn't think it was going. But I keep seeing stuff every day of craziness going on, and I'm just thinking like, nah, man, this is gonna be the one where I got to say something. This is gonna be the one where I actually have to say. I don't really speak about things like this, but this is the one where I gotta speak. I gotta actually speak on it. This doesn't make any sense. Y'all really supporting this? Y'all actually demons in there? Y'all know this not gonna be good. Talking about help the kids. I'm stuck right now. The video was supposed to stop a while ago, but I just can't stop. Now my brain is really circulating. I be feeling guilty just turning on my phone. I ain't played the game in 2 weeks. I used to hop on the game every day. But now I feel guilty because I know what's going on with the games and that game industry involved in this too. I'm a big RPG guy. I feel guilty. And I ain't even got nothing to do with it. I'm not even in the room making a decision. I just feel guilty. Just for having a privilege that I know a lot of people are not going to have. They're going to aid you out of this privilege. It's not like drinking. Drinking is something there is like, you could sneak and do that. Two, personally, it's overrated for me. But one, you can sneak and do that. You're not going to be sneaking to be able to get on this internet, man. When they block everything. People talking about VPN. You don't think they're going to block them VPNs? I can see it right now. You might think it sounds crazy, but I can see people getting arrested for having VPNs. In 2026, it's not ridiculous to say that. Not right now, it's not. There's always something going on. Over the pond, they already banning VPNs in certain places. Other countries. Then they got this system. I believe they got it in China. The one place I'm not gonna say, they got turmoil right now. In other places, in Australia, I think Australia and it's some other places. They talking about some. It's not that bad that they got it. It's not good no matter where it's at. What are we talking about? And why are we being like China? What? Really? China? That's what we comparing it to. I had people tell me it's not that bad because China got it. Are we serious right now? We comparing ourselves to China. Only time I want to hear we competing with China is when it comes to manufacturing in America, which we're not. We've been stopped doing that a long time ago. That's a story for another day. But yeah, this is the worst thing I've seen in a minute, other than something else Congress voted on, but I'm not gonna speak on. But this is definitely top 3 like craziest things I've seen Congress pass on, and I'm sending my pass on it too. So at this point, we pretty much got 2 to 3 options. They say call the senator. Don't call Jim Banks. He's pointless. Call your senators, I guess. But even if you do call your senators and they do not pass it, which will be good if they don't pass it, they're going to try to vote for this again in the future. So the only other option we have is y'all either going to have to get activated, which at this point I'm in support of with all the things going on, or 2, some Supreme Court is going to have to vote what they're doing unconstitutional and shut it down. Do I think the Supreme Court is going to do that? It ain't no telling. They didn't ban it in Texas when in Texas said it was unconstitutional to only have 18-year-olds get into the App Store. So at this point, it really ain't no telling. It really ain't. And I apologize for that. I wanted to give you some hope, Court, but it's kind of hard when this stuff is so goofy. But yeah, I'm probably missing a lot more things that I meant to say. But yeah, it's going to be real sad just seeing that a lot of people are not going to have access to the tools that literally do help Americans all the time. Kid might need to see a tutorial on how to do something. Okay, how do I fix this in my dryer? How do I get this to stop? How do I get my mom to stop choking? Let me YouTube CPR real quick. Let me YouTube da-da-da-da. I mean, it's kind of an exaggeration, but you can imagine. You might be in a situation, you might need to go log in and go do something. ID check. Soon as you try to go log in. Crisis situation. Not even a crisis situation. You in the middle of nowhere. You a kid. You outside playing. You're lost. You ain't going nowhere, buddy. You're done. ID verification. Google Maps. Where you going? Your car broke down. Well, you got an ID. You just might have to use your ID if you got it. But your car broke down. You don't got your ID. You ain't gonna figure out how to fix it. You might as well call the people. There's a lot of different scenarios. The scenarios I'm throwing out are kind of trash because I just been talking for literally like two and a half hours. So you can get the picture. No matter which way you slice it, this is not gonna help. Especially when I was talking about getting people out of those risky situations from them risky family members or God forbid a stalker. Imagine you getting stalked. You need to get information on where you can go from, like, for an example, because my mom has had multiple stalkers. I've had one stalker, but that's a different story. She told me one time she had to research the entire area where she can go and where she couldn't go to get away from the guy because the guy had like her location or something like that. Something like that. He had access to her. So she had to basically hop around. What's up? No. That might have been another family member. That wasn't my mom. It was an older family member who was telling me that story. But she had to research the whole area going through the internet. An ID check for that in a crisis situation. It's ridiculous. But again, I'm sorry I extended the video at least like 15 minutes just now. But if you sat through the whole video, I appreciate that. I did have a lot to say about this issue because I've been sitting here dealing with it since last month around the 29th, I believe, was when they made the decision. And I was like, I got to say something. I'm saying something now because it's getting too hard to just not say nothing about this chaos. And yeah, because this is a multi-drop, so it'll be on multiple platforms, like short form platforms also. If you stayed the whole time, leave like an American flag or something, or leave like the word understood if you want to. You don't got to do that if you don't want to. You can just get up out of here and go figure something else out, call your senator or something. But if you want to leave like an American flag or the word understood or something so I can see how many people actually sat through this, I'd appreciate it. Don't have to do that though. I apologize if it seems like the video is haphazard, because it is haphazard. As soon as I finished writing all the pages, I instantly turned on my webcam and started recording. So It's not the most professional thing. I'm also not a public speaker. I apologize for that. If it seemed like I was reading them passages and I wasn't comprehending them, it was probably because I was trying to re-comprehend what I read. Because I read the bill at least like twice, and then I took notes two to three times already, so I could try to memorize certain things and understand certain concepts. I apologize if it seemed like I was fumbling those things, because I was fumbling those things. Yeah. So, yeah, get the message out. I'm told the Senate's supposed to vote, might be voting on the 29th of this month, which is next week. Maybe. I'm not certain, because no matter where I look, no one has the date, because they're being vague about the date, because just like what happened with the original when Congress voted, god dang, just like what happened when Congress voted on it, they waited till like the last minute, like a week or two before, or some days before they let everybody know they was voting on it. I'm pretty sure the Senate's going to do the same thing. I wouldn't be shocked if they voted for it today and didn't tell nobody, and we just get the information later today. Even if it's yes or no, that's still messed up. But yeah, feel free to call your senators, like they keep saying. They listen. Don't call Jim Banks. He's gone. He's a lost cause. But yeah, call your senators or get outraged. I've been seeing a lot of marches that's been happening over the last 5 to 6 years. This is one of the times y'all got to be marching for real. This and something else that Congress did the other day. I ain't gonna mention. These is the 2 times y'all should have been out there marching for real. Well, if they pass this in Senate, then y'all can go out there and go crazy. But yeah, y'all got to get busy or something. But yeah, do whatever you need to do, because at this point, we need to see some sort of motion out there. Some sort of motion. I'm not seeing enough motion. But then again, they have been suppressing everyone's videos on the subject. So, yeah. And lastly, this bill is, again, for the last time, this is the most unconstitutional thing I've ever seen in my life. Personally, it should have been blocked a long time ago. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Thank you for listening. And yeah, thank you for listening this long. And good luck out there.